Welcome to the Short Funk Podcast. I'm Tom Barbalet, and today a topic that I'd like to take a little twist on. I was flying back from Portland, arriving in San Jose, and I was listening to one Short Funk associated with photographs and the fact that, my mother's house has one photograph of me where it's covered by a ribbon. And I thought to myself, this really is not a fair assessment of my family. And I kind of ebb and flow in this slide. But my perspective is probably as I'm no longer around my mother and it causes her some degree of distress and these kind of things, that having a omnipresent face staring back at her of a son that is, many thousands of miles away, probably not something she wants to do. And it's not necessarily a representation associated with who I am or what has occurred. It's more a representation of her kind of day-to-day experience. When I was waiting at an airport with my wife, we started talking about technology and about children with technology. We were surrounded by children with iPhones and iPads and all this kind of stuff. And the topic associated with my parents' distrust and dislike of technology came up. My wife was very supportive of this. I'm kind of breaking a cardinal rule because my wife has asked me not to talk about her views here. So let's move on from that. I gave a very strong and robust defense associated with technology, and it was just this. Societies are paper thin. They change, they evolve, they move, they mutate, they go in a variety of different directions. But the malleability of society is based on the fact that there are very fragile mores that hold societies together. And when these fragile mores are questioned, when people start to break apart certain aspects of society, you begin to appreciate how really brittle these things are. Technology, and here I'm talking about now the internet. When I was growing up, it was computers in general. But the internet's ability to communicate, YouTube, a wide variety of ways to get ideas out to a broader public, these kind of things are very dangerous for societies, very dangerous for an agreed-upon establishment, very dangerous to folks that want to have a kind of traditional perspective associated with the movement of ideas and information, and certainly don't want to discuss a variety of things. Technology rips all of that away. And certainly reflecting on aspects of my childhood, and certainly when I go back to Australia as well, I'm frequently confronted by individuals who are just basically establishment characters. They're perfectly happy to do things the way that they've done it. They think of themselves as educated. They think of themselves as, the pinnacle of intellectual discourse. And unfortunately, Barbalet enters the fray in such a way where he always sounds out of pitch. He always sounds like he mysteriously must have conservative views because he's speaking out against the liberal establishment, which in and of itself is a curious thing. And my perspective is that technology, not that it's always on my side, but technology actually allows me to explain things to a broader audience, obviously with Short Funk now, but historically associated with the Noble Ape simulation, associated with creating music with computers, associated with all these aspects. I've never seen a bad thing associated with technology if you appear to be trying to change things. And there are twos and fros, things do slow down, there is a perspective of natural conservatism associated with the way technology is developed. But in general, I find technology remarkably liberating, and I also appreciate that my particular point in time is moving very rapidly. Eventually I will be one of these conservative folk that believes that technology should be in a particular way or that society should be in a particular way, and I'm really glad that there are these sticks of dynamite that are thrown into the future. So when I become dying and set in my ways, that there will be new technology to change things. I'm a little concerned about rat-faced Instagram. I'm a little concerned about these kids today pulling faces in all their photos. And just, I guess what I'd like to see is more learnedness, more anticipation and understanding of the burden that history gives all of us. But people come to that at different times. Far be it from me to say that people should be at that point now. Tom Barbalet in San Jose, signing out.